Hello and welcome to another episode of the Financial Deep Dive with CWT podcast. So in today's episode, I'm going to be looking at the private company Boxable, who's currently raising money on crowdfunding platform StartEngine. So usually on this podcast, I talk about publicly traded companies you can, buy off the stock exchange. But I want to start looking at, and I want to start investing more of my own money into private companies. And one that has gotten my attention is Boxable. So, and the reason for this is I'm actually probably going to be making an actual article about this on financebycwt.com. And, currently researching the actual business first, but also Elon Musk, for instance, owns one of these Boxables, which, obviously gave it a lot of attention. And it's trading at a pretty high valuation on equity crowdfunding site StartEngine. So I wanted to do a lot of research on this, and while researching it, I figured might as well make a podcast about it. So first off, they are currently trading or raising money at a $3 billion valuation, which is very high for a startup. Like they've actually raised $17,981,650 so far, and they have 7,877 investors on StartEngine. Now, when you're investing in a crowdfunding platform, it's not like when you're buying stock off a stock exchange, right? Like it's not like you can just go out there and buy, a share of the company and that's it. Because right now this company's trading at 80 cents a share, which would be very easy to load up on shares on, except for the fact that you have to make a minimum investment of $1,000. So if you like this company and you want to invest in it, you got to put $1,000 in at least. Like that is the minimum amount they will be accepting, which is pretty high, especially for like a crowdfunding platform. Usually, what I see is about $200 to $500. And it is important to remember, if you buy a stock off the stock exchange, and let's say, for whatever reason, you decide to sell it the next day, right? Let's say you buy stock in Apple, like you buy a share of Apple stock, tomorrow it goes up, you're like, I'll sell it. You could just sell it that day in like 2 seconds, very easy. Not the same with investing into a private company. Like there's no real exchange to sell it on. You basically are, in a way, stuck with it unless you can find someone to buy it from you. The company goes public and then it's publicly traded and you can sell it. Or if it gets bought by somebody and then they'll buy your share. So that's one thing everybody should know before they do invest into this company. Which, let's say, after talking about it and everything, you agree you should do it. You gotta understand that it's going to be hard for you to sell it potentially. And you might not ever get the chance to do it. Although, so yeah, with that in mind, $3 billion valuation, 80 cents a share right now. What the company actually does is, it's actually really interesting. They're building a system that is compatible, and I'm reading from the website, with scalable factory mass production. They basically are trying to lower the cost of home ownership for people. And, basically, they're tiny homes, essentially. On their investment page, they mention the fact that, take a car company like Ford, or Tesla, and they build approximately one car a minute. So every time a minute passes, they build a car. And their whole thing is that they want to do the same for houses, basically mass producing, tiny houses. And I think it's an interesting idea. So reasons for investing, like on the actual site, here's what they state. Over $55 million previously raised. So, while they currently raised $17 million from this, basically attempt at raising money, in all, they've raised over $55 million. They have 80,000 reservations, 4,000 paid deposits, and that's pretty impressive. They're also launching a new factory soon, which they think that they'll be able to produce basically thousands of homes, which would give them millions of dollars, basically, just from that one factory. 170,000 square feet, by the way. And they're one of the only building systems compatible with automobile-style factory mass production, which they have, oh wow, they got 39 patents filed so far. and plan to do more, which I think that that is also a very good thing. Like, this is a very unique idea, which is why I think it's raising so much money. Like, obviously, people hear the idea, like mass producing houses to sell, and they're like, well, that makes sense, that's a good plan. But people don't really realize that there's really no, or I mean, I'm sure there's some, but there's not really much competition really with an idea like that. They're seeking to raise $1.07 billion to build the world's largest and most advanced housing factory. And it looks like they're going to be able, I mean, they've raised a pretty impressive amount of money so far. The current way we build houses takes forever, right? And on the actual page for their website, you can kind of see how it's actually done. Like, it takes a really long time to do it. And the interesting thing is, not that they had this idea to begin with, not that they're mass producing houses, that's one thing, but it's the kind of houses that they're doing. Like, you look at most, houses that exist, they're hard to ship, right? Like, you can build a factory, like modular homes, like they've been happening for a while, right? Like, you can build those in a factory. The issue is when you try to actually get them down to the location you're going to put the house on. Like, usually they're built pretty far away, and it doesn't really work. But with Boxable, like the type of houses they're making, they're easy to transport for one. They show some impressive numbers. In 2023, the global construction market is supposed to reach $15.4 trillion. And that's pretty nice increase year over year. And really, I think the genius behind it is the type of houses that they're doing, because they're a lot more stackable. They're not really that expensive or anything either. Like, it's pretty impressive. Looking at some of the actual houses on their website, I'd love a house like that. Like, I would 100% be a customer for them, especially small families. Like, what I picture is single people single people and small families as really their biggest market. But yeah, so $3 billion valuation, obviously, that's a lot of money, like that they're valued at. But, I can easily see how they would reach that. So, do I like the idea of investing in this company? Obviously, I have to do, a lot more research before I put, my money into it. But this is definitely an idea that I love. I think it could be tremendously successful, and I'm very interested in the idea. Thank you for listening to this episode of Financial Deep Dive with Cedar Team. Subscribe on whatever platform you're currently listening on, and thank you.